Well, welcome everybody. This is a podcast. We are talking to Fallen Void, and we're going to talk about your music, talk about the band, all that stuff. So why don't we start off with everybody in this meeting, introduce yourself, talking about your role in the band.
I can go first. My name's JD, and I'm the vocalist.
My name is BG, and I'm the drummer.
Hey, I'm Jason, and I do everything else except for solos.
Awesome.
Nice. Why don't you guys tell us how Fallen Void got started?
Jason?
Yeah, so this is why I got started, actually. I'm going to show you.
Oh, dude, that's sick.
So I bought this guitar off of a guy. He made some, so he hand makes guitars. And I bought this one used on Reverb for like $500, and I fell in love with it. So I reached out to him, and I made him make me this one. And so I picked it up, and I started just jamming on it. And I came up with the riff for the song called Puppet. So I made a video on YouTube, just kind of like to just show off the guitar. I didn't really think about making a band, but I really liked the song. And then one day, some guy on Facebook reached out to me and said, "Hey, can I write lyrics for it? Can I do vocals?" And I'm like, "Why not? Sure, go ahead." So he wrote like the first version of Puppet. So it's very similar to what we have now. So we did change a couple of things, but I kind of realized that the song had potential, and I just started from there, and then put some Craigslist ads, found JD, BG, and I already knew Dave. He actually answered to my ad, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I know you." I mean, he gave me a couple lessons a couple of years back, and he lives real close to me. So yeah, it just went up from there.
Nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how long ago did this band, I don't know, kind of officially come together?
I would say early 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Around, yes, I think I don't remember when I got this guitar. It was probably end of 2019, and then around probably like October, November, I made like that YouTube video, and then I think it was around January or February where I met JD and BG. I don't really remember, so I'm not.
Yeah, I think it was end of the year, like holiday time, when I kind of like met you, and we met on like Skype or something.
Mm-hmm. Has it been weird? I mean, if you guys started in early 2020, starting a band and then a international pandemic hitting the world.
It certainly, changes things a little bit.
Yeah.
I think we're lucky that in the time of, the world we are now, and that we have such good technology to share and write music. Like, we've got songs we're recording right now, and I can do my vocal part and then just send it through email, and then Jason can put it together. Like it's a benefit for sure of being in the modern age.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a specific method for songwriting, or do each of you just kind of noodle around until something happens?
That's pretty much it. So usually I noodle around and come up with some riffs. When I have like a pretty cohesive idea of what I want to do, I share it with everyone else, and then I take everyone else's input. I sometimes write the lyrics, sometimes just write like a couple of verses, and then I just give it to JD, and he does the rest. And then Dave helps out with, so he does. I can't solo for the life of me. So he does all the solos. So I don't even tell him like what key or how I want the solo. I say, this is the chunk of the song where I want the solo in.
Yeah.
Just do something. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then BG. So for this first EP, I think BG was the last one to come in in the band, so I already had all the drums and MIDI. But for this following EP, he's actually gonna be recording the drums on his E kit, and then I'll be using that MIDI to actually feed it out to my DAW, and I can replace all the MIDI notes with like drum sounds, but it'll be him playing.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Right. So when I do drums and MIDI, they're pretty plain. So I don't do like a lot of fills or play like cymbals and stuff. So it's so if you listen to Puppet and Calamity and all that, you'll hear a couple of fills every now and then, but it's not like pretty elaborate or anything.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping this next EP is gonna have some sweet drum solos.
Yeah. Do you guys mind telling us about who you worked with to mix and master this first EP? Because both me and Chris thought the production was really clean.
Yeah.
I did the mixing and mastering.
Oh,
fantastic. Well,
wow.
Yeah.
Do you mind telling us about your experience and
No experience.
just self-taught?
Yep. So I have another band that I used to be in, and we tried. So one of the members did all the mixing and mastering himself. I kind of got some pointers from him when he did the process. I did not like the end product, so I kind of built from there. So I saw what he did and what I thought he did wrong, and then I implemented that, and then just YouTube tutorials, and then just fiddling around. So I wrote the 3 songs, and we recorded everything pretty quickly. I think the thing that took the most time was just me mixing and mastering, just trying to make everything perfect. Which perfect is not a good word, because nothing's perfect. And if you try to do something perfect, you're just never gonna be happy with it. So at some point, I just had to stop and just be happy with it. And I mean, for me, I think it turned out great, and I've gotten good feedback. There's definitely some things that I need to improve, but I mean, it's the first EP I mix and master, so.
Yeah. Well, we were
You'd-
definitely impressed with it.
You'd
Yeah.
send a couple things too, and we would just give like little bits of feedback, like on our own parts. For me, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, can you like, I want that part to sound a little like harsher. Can we like change the gain levels or like cut the lows or whatever the case might be?" So that kind of worked out. And one of Dave's guitar teachers gave us a little advice on how to do the solo. So that was definitely, I'd say he has a pretty good opinion, to say the least.
So Dave has a lot of pretty famous teachers. So Dave Broderick from In Flames,
Chris.
Chris Broderick, sorry. Chris Broderick from In Flames, ex Megadeth, his teachers. And then who's the other guy? The guitarist from Allegiant.
Is
Yeah.
that?
I don't know his name.
Yeah, I don't remember. So yeah, he has a couple of people in the industry that he takes lessons with, and he's friends with too. And he has like a bunch of guitars from like really famous people as well.
Yeah.
So if you think this is impressive, you should see Dave's wall. It's like 4 times this, and
Oh my gosh.
I think like the average cost of his guitars is like $3,000.
Oh,
God.
jeez.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I figured we'd just go around and have everybody talk about your musical influences. Because I know when Connor and I were listening to your EP, we heard a little bit of like At the Gates, Melodeath stuff, going into like As I Lay Dying, metalcore stuff, and then it's like some groove metal. So if we're totally wrong, please go correct us and let us know what influenced you.
Yeah. I can start. Also, Greg Burgess. I think that's his other teacher's name. I think that's.
Yes. Yep. That's him.
Let's see. So influences, obviously. I mean, I feel like it might not be shocking at all, but as far as vocals go, Randy Blythe from Lamb of God would definitely be a big influence.
Oh, yeah.
His style is kind of how I learned screaming vocals. just in general. I mean, like, because when I got into metal, it was pretty much them and Gojira and then In Flames. So as far as In Flames go, Anders as well, definitely, especially that like Come Clarity era. Anders was probably a big influence on my style. So those two, and then Decapitated a little bit too, with kind of the lower style where it's like a little bit, it's not quite like death grunting, but it's more that like lower growling sound. So I guess to hone in on vocals specifically, I would mention those. But then I love Mastodon. I think I'm wearing a Mastodon shirt. So
Yeah, heck yes.
All right, so for me, mainly At the Gates. So I've been listening to At the Gates since probably middle school, many years ago. A little bit of Dark Tranquility, In Flames, Arch Enemy, um, and heavier stuff like Decapitated and Cannibal Corpse and all that. I'm not really into metalcore. I'm not in the scene, I would say. Like I don't listen to gent. I don't listen to metalcore, hardcore, deathcore, anything that ends with core. Like that's a automatic no for me. I mean, there's always exceptions because there's always bands that are really good, no matter what genre they are. But my thing is more not. I wouldn't say old school death metal, but kind of mid 2000s mellow death metal, technical death. Carcass just put back their EP or their albums on Spotify, which is awesome because they're one of the bands that I used to listen to a lot. Yeah, I listen to a lot of things: the Beatles, Rolling Stones,
Yeah.
punk, ska.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, but mainly I'll say At the Gates would be number one. Oh, and Opeth. Opeth is actually my favorite band. So I'm not that good of a guitarist to do stuff like that, but yeah, they're my favorite band ever.
Awesome.
BG.
Yeah, as far as drumming, I'd have to mention like Opeth and Mastodon, definitely, and Gojira. Uh, Mario's a really great drummer, so I probably draw influence from those, and hopefully, like, it'll be, I guess, more apparent on the next couple albums. As far as death metal, I'd say my like favorite bands would be Arch Enemy and Amon Amarth. So like I really like that sort of. I like the drums on Amon Amarth a lot. So that's like one of my main, that sort of style of, even like the fills in the older albums, and you listen, I don't know, it's just a drummer thing, but like just the way he does some of the fills, I think are pretty cool. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I think I already know the answer to this question, which is about you guys performing live, which I don't know if you guys have or not. And if you haven't, uh, maybe tell us about some of your previous experiences of performing live.
yeah, we have not performed live yet. We barely practiced actually all together. This is the funny part. We intend to. There was a place who's trying to do like a drive-in concert. I don't know if we'll still try to do that. And some people have reached out to us on like Facebook and stuff, but everything people schedule nowadays gets kind of canceled. So, whenever the concert scene returns, obviously we'll do that. But I play with some bands throughout like high school and then in college a bit. So live is like my favorite thing because usually I'm just like a pretty like mellow, chill dude. But then when I'm on stage, I just like let it all out. So
Oh yeah.
like most people don't even, when I tell them I'm in like a band, they're like, "Oh, are you like it's like electronic type music or something?" It's like, no, it's like death metal. I like scream into the microphone. They're like, "What?" I don't think that's you. So
Now, JD, does Cookville have a pretty vibrant death metal scene?
there are a couple bands. When I was in Cookville, I played. I had this little like punk outfit that me and like my roommate kind of started. I was actually playing drums for that and doing vocals, and it was just like total garage band, like just yelling and like drinking and spitting on the floor and stuff. So it was really fun. I wouldn't say it was like good quality music at all, but you know, it was definitely a good time. Yeah, not a huge music scene over in Cookville. Not really many places to play, but there's some people that still play, so you can have some fun.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much in the same boat as JD. I grew up in Puerto Rico, and death metal is pretty much non-existent there.
Yeah.
So I had a new metal band one time. We didn't do much. We didn't play live. And then so I came here. I came to the DC area in 2010. And around 2014, I had a cover band doing mostly grunge and punk, and we played like an open mic once. And then my previous band, I think we did 3 like very small gigs locally, and kind of like JD, like I'm a really chill dude. Like I don't have any tattoos. I don't do much other than hang out with my family and play video games. But like on stage, like I feel like I'm a whole nother person, which is awesome. And I do love that experience, and I hope all this crap goes away soon so we can do it again.
Yeah. BG.
We have actually played a fair number of shows. I was in a sort of Viking metal band or a folk metal band called Eisenlohr, which is in the Baltimore area, and we played, I don't know how many shows, but I've definitely played at least 8 different venues in Baltimore, and some of them don't even exist anymore. Like most of them, you know, it's like small hole in the wall kind of places, and that was always really fun doing that. Also played Frederick, Maryland, which is, I don't know where you guys are, but it's a fairly medium-sized city in the middle of Maryland, and used to have a pretty good metal scene.
That's where they do the like Doom Metal Fest, right?
The last time I think it was in Baltimore. Like they had like Darkness of Days was in Baltimore the last time I tried to go, and like I didn't make it because this very bizarre accident happened to my car that I could talk about if you wanted me to. But yeah, I think they do have another like festival thing that does happen like around Frederick somewhere. But I don't remember what it's called. Anyway. Yeah. I had another band we played in Baltimore also. And I remember our first show at this place called the Depot. Like our guitarist and lead singer was sort of, you know, anxious and worried and stuff. And the guy running the place was like, well, we had some dude here in the summer and it was super hot and he like threw up all over the monitor. So as long as you don't do that, you've done a great job. So yeah, it's fun. So
Yeah.
I've got a bit of experience doing that.
Yeah. So do you guys have any, and I know this is always a vague question, but do you guys have any specific goals for the band? Like, where do you want to take this
World tour.
thing?
Hell yeah.
There you go, man.
So this is I always call it a serious hobby. So most of us are either married or have families. I got 2 kids, full-time job. And I think all of us have full-time jobs. So it's definitely something that we're not looking to make money of. any money that we've actually made, we just spend it on band stuff like promotions or I don't know, stuff. So I mean, this is just for fun, but at the same time, like at least I feel really proud of what we've accomplished. So if I would say realistic goal that I think we might be able to achieve is maybe a couple of gigs like in the eastern U.S. Maybe opening for a couple of bigger bands. If we get a record deal, great. If not, I mean, I don't mind putting our own stuff on Spotify by ourselves. So I would say main goal would be have fun and make music that we like.
Yeah.
And sell out eventually.
There you go. Living the dream.
Yeah, me and Chris totally understand that because I mean, this is pretty much our serious hobby. It, you know, interviewing bands and focusing on a YouTube and podcast channel when you're working full-time job. It's pretty much the only hobby you can have, and you know, we're not making money, but it's just fun to talk to bands, learn more about their writing process, learn about their music, and it's awesome just to meet people. You know.
Yeah.
But you
for
best
sure.
believe when we get the opportunity to sell out, we're taking it.
Yes. Always.
Definitely.
Now, this next question is just for Jason. I see you're wearing a Star Wars shirt. Now, is Star Wars a possible influence on the theme of your music? Because I see your EP is named Black Hole Rises.
Yeah, those are in space, right?
Yeah, I mean, two space
So-
related things.
So I'm not as big of a Star Wars fan as I was back in high school. I still love it, but I think that the main influence, at least for the band's name, is a game called Destiny. So the enemies are called one of the enemies is called the Fallen, and then one of the I guess elements that your character controls is like void magic.
Mhm.
So that's where, and actually I asked JD. So I was talking to JD about possible band names, and I told him I like the word Fallen and I like the word Void. And he's like, well, how about Fallen Void? And I'm like, that's not bad.
And it's
Yeah.
a good thing I put them in that order because there is a band, a smaller band I have noticed when I search us on Google named Void Fallen. They're like a bit older, I think. So it's a good thing we picked the order we did.
Yeah.
I mean, I Googled it just in case. I always Google any potential
Oh,
band
yeah.
names just in
Yeah.
case.
Good idea. But Void Fallen, it doesn't have the same ring to it as Fallen Void.
Yeah, I think you guys got the right pick.
Oh,
That's what we said too. I think we were like, all right, we'll just stick with this for like 2 weeks and keep saying it and see like how we feel because it like comes off the tongue just enough, but it's also just unique enough that it kind of sticks out in a way because it's not like just a really typical English phrase. It's like just off enough that you're like, huh.
Mhm.
So hopefully it sticks out in people's heads. We'll see. None of us are marketing experts at all. I just get on Instagram every day.
And the best part about it is that the domain was available, so we were able to get it for like $1.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah,
That's actually very,
fallenvoid.com.
that's very similar to how we came up with the name to our channel. Just spitballing names and then start Googling and see if it's available and then just start using it a bunch.
So
Start using it until we're like, okay, it's got a ring to it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
There you
so guys, I think we're reaching the point in the interview where if there's anything you want to bring up, anything you want to plug, or anything you want to ask us, feel free to go ahead and go for it.
Definitely check out fallenvoid.com. It's our website. It has links to everything. I mean, we've got all our social media stuff. I think it's at Fallen Void Band, I believe, is all our social media stuff. Instagram, Facebook, all that jazz. YouTube. We got videos there. The most recent full-length thing we put out was a cover of Bloodbath's song Eaten. It is on YouTube. It was totally fun video to record because we're all just doing ridiculous stuff in our kitchens. BG eats his hand, and so it's worth checking out.
There's also something about a hot dog somewhere.
There is something about a hot dog. You'll have to see for yourself.
Awesome.
We've got more music coming. I just put out a teaser for one song yesterday. Currently unnamed song, but I'm super excited for that one. We've got definitely a few songs, maybe like halfway ready to go. So keep an eye out for those. I don't know. I guess it's up to Jason, but we'll probably release them, trickle them out as they come out, and then have a full EP release, kind of like we did this last one.
Mhm.
So keep an eye on Instagram's probably good
Yeah.
for daily updates and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Jason, anything from you?
What he said. Fallenboy.com links to all the platforms where our music is at. So we're on Spotify, Deezer, Google Play, iTunes, Apple Music, YouTube. So the only thing that's not on YouTube is a music video for Dawn, which we haven't even worked on. We have a couple of ideas, but we've been improving on the quality of our videos. So the only, I guess, logical step for making a better video is to like hire someone to record it. But that probably would mean to like all of us be on a location, and I mean we've been avoiding that for a while. But so we've been on talks and planning something. We just have to, I guess, execute it now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so EP number 2, we're working on it. We have, I guess, a pretty complete idea of the songs that we're doing. There's one song that we teased that we actually have a couple vocal tracks already, lyrics. We might add maybe some part, like guitar part or something. Maybe not. Maybe just leave it as is and do a solo. That's it. And then 2 other songs that are on the works as well. So hopefully, I would say before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Most likely. I think this is the part that takes the longest, is just to like put all the finishing touches on the song. Because I sit down and like make 2, 3, 4 riffs, and I make like a 2 or 3 minute song, maybe like in an hour. But then to actually finish it, that's like the hard part.
Oh yeah.
So we're there. Dave's recording his solos. JD's recording his vocals. BG's doing his drums. I'm putting my kids to bed. So yeah, hopefully. I don't want to say next month or 2 months, but I really don't want to like.
Yeah.
Wait till like next year.
We'll put out. We'll probably put out singles and then make it a full EP at some point. That way people can see them as they come.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so most probably we'll put like either completed versions or demo versions on Bandcamp first. Yeah. Once they're done, we'll put it on Bandcamp, and then when all 3 are done, then we'll put it on all the other platforms. That's what we did for the first EP.
Yeah.
Well, so that's a good. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, for everybody listening, all the links to all your stuff will be in the description.
Sweet. Yeah, I was gonna say, given that first EP, you guys gave it a listen. What's your favorite song from there, and why?
Go for it.
Okay, so I mean, we gave it a preliminary listen, and I can't remember which song it was. I think it was Puppets that had just an amazing solo towards the end of it. Correct me which song that was, but that was the one.
I mean, they've got good solos for all of them.
Yeah.
Do you remember if it was like the first, middle, or last song?
I'm trying to think. It must have been. It was either the first or last that we listened to.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I was just thinking to myself that I thought you guys made a really great choice with starting off the EP with Puppet. I think that the primary riff for that song is really, really catchy. It really hooks the listener, and it's reminiscent of a lot of really great metal that is, mellow death and everything. And I'm trying to weigh in my head whether I like Puppet or Calamity more, because Calamity reminds me a little bit of Gojira, which is one of my personal favorite bands. So I don't know if I can give you a concrete answer, but what I can say is that your EP is friggin' solid, guys. It's
Yeah, no, seriously.
yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Because I mean, we do interview a lot of local bands, and you know, when we listen to the music, we're usually pretty impressed when it sounds like a professional band, and your music does for sure.
All right. Yeah, all we like all of those songs. Obviously, we wouldn't put them out if we disliked them. But you know, Dave, who's not on the interview at the time, he's at the beach. Sounds like so. He's living his best life. He does a good job putting that finishing touch with like good solos, and he's like every time he does a solo, he's like, all right, the next one has to be even better. So they just keep getting more complex, and like we said, he's got some pretty talented, to say the least, guitar teachers who are helping him. When he's like, all right, how do I just like make this that much better? So
I think what I do like about his solos is that he nails the thing in like a whole take, like one single take. So you see a lot of modern bands, like they make a couple notes and then they'll record a note back, and then they'll record a couple of other notes, or they'll just do like sections of the solo. Like not Dave, like he'll record the whole solo in one take.
True.
So yeah, I mean, not on the first take though. It usually takes him like a couple hundred takes.
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Didn't he say he did like 500 takes for Calamity and Dawn?
Yeah.
Each?
Wow.
So I guess it just means he'll play it really good live, So whenever that time comes.
Yeah. Right.
Well, guys, if you guys have anything else.
I have one more question, and we don't have to go too deep into it. I'm just curious to always hear people's thoughts. What's your opinion on the current state of like the metal, rock, punk, hardcore scene as a whole? The current pulse, as it were.
Right. So personally, and I can only speak for myself, I'll let Connor, go on in a second.
Mhm.
Connor and I actually are kind of core boys a little bit. Sorry to let you down that way, Jason. But so the recent resurgence of like mid 2000s hardcore music, so bands like
Knocked Loose, yes.
yeah, all those bands, that's stuff that we're really a fan of quite a bit. And so as far as like the resurgence of hardcore goes, I'm very much down with that. Now, that's just talking about the musical landscape. If you're talking about marketing and whatnot, I think that I don't know what I think. I think that maybe metal folks need to embrace some of the marketing techniques of other genres. I don't know. So I suppose those, in like very simple terms, are my two opinions on the marketing and the music itself. And if there was something I didn't address that you were trying to get at, please let me know.
I think that's a good way to put it.
And I mean, I agree with what Chris said, and piggyback off that. What I find almost disappointing in the whole metal world is that I hear just absolutely incredible bands who are successful in their lane, but they're not really successful because I don't know, they're maybe not adopting marketing tactics that other genres of music do. I mean, off the top of my head, for example, we have Code Orange, who has won the Metal Grammy, who every single band member of theirs not they're not rich. They're not,
You don't have health insurance.
yeah, they don't have health insurance. They're literally almost like a struggling local band.
Yeah.
And they're almost as successful as you can get right now.
Yeah. So I think this is more of a core thing than a metal thing.
Mhm.
By the way, the fact that we're talking about core music does not discount Melodeath or anything. We love you guys.
Yeah.
But this is definitely more of a core problem than like a metal problem, which is that the core scene tends to resent success in a way that a lot of other genres don't.
Mhm.
So if we're talking about punk music, there is, and this is a concept that applies to lots of types of music, but it's really exacerbated in punk, that if you achieve success, you're almost automatically perceived as selling out, when in fact, selling out may not even include health insurance, So,
Right.
so it's definitely a problem.
And to just piggyback one more small point off that is metalcore used to be a great subgenre that could actually make you successful in the metal world, except in my opinion now, the world is just so saturated with metalcore that I almost question why a local band would start doing metalcore, because there's so much of it, and it's like, how are you even going to be unique and make something different?
There is a lot of metalcore out there.
Yeah. So that long-winded answer, I'm not sure if we answered your question, but
I think you did. Pretty much you got to the point. I think that I would agree with that. I think it works fine for us because, like we said, we're doing this kind of as like a serious hobby. We're having fun with it. But people that are trying to make it their living and stuff, I think they do need to embrace some of the modern trends of music. I mean, even if you see the guys who are like crossing boundaries and getting into other genres a bit, like people that stick out that I would even slightly classify in like the rock and metal, like Post Malone, or like I don't know. But like Travis Barker does stuff with like a bunch of rap people. So, I think people need to embrace that a little bit more. And it seems like singles is the way to go now. So, like I said, I think we'll be releasing some of these songs as they come out, but that just seems to be the modern age. Like you don't wait 3 years and drop an album. You just kind of keep releasing songs. People
yeah,
keep streaming.
yeah.
So
It's interesting that you brought up Post Malone because you're probably already aware that he used to be a metal guitarist, and then he's now arguably one of the top 5 most successful rappers in the United States or in the world.
Yeah, and have kind of mixed feelings about the releasing music in little bits thing, because I understand from a marketing perspective it's brilliant. So if you guys were familiar with Sleep Token, who released their album last year, they released one song every month. And it was fantastic stuff in my opinion, but they just kept people on the hook that way. And there's another, and I think that's brilliant from a marketing perspective, but from on the other hand, I really respect the album or the EP as like a whole piece of art.
Hmm.
Like
I totally agree.
your ability to take individual songs and make them into a cohesive piece of work is something I respect immensely. And so I would hate to see that completely go away, but I do appreciate the marketing savvy of someone who, releases one song every 2 weeks and as a result, accelerates like a rocket.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, I'm a big album guy too. Like I pretty much it's rare I listen to like just a song. I usually just throw on an album and listen through it. So, bands that I really like are the ones that have good cohesive albums. Or if I really like my top albums, I'll buy in vinyl.
mhm,
Um so yeah, I agree with you that you want to see that. So if you when we released like the last 3 songs, we kind of released them one at a time, and then it became a more cohesive EP. So it's sort of like a little bit of a middle ground, but yeah, it's kind of hard to say exactly what to do. It's just sort of the way the modern world works. I mean, it's even like, I get on Instagram and I post like a picture for us usually pretty much every day.
yeah,
Just it keeps you relevant to people's minds.
yeah.
So little updates here and there. It's just, I don't know, I guess we're all ADD or something.
I think it kind of makes a little bit more sense to us, for us, to not do albums, since we really can't afford to go to a studio for like 2 weeks straight and like record a whole album and do mixing, mastering, and all that. So it makes more sense for us to just build little by little,
Mhm.
and then tease little bits here and there, and Instagram, and Facebook, and so for this last EP, for first EP, we released Puppet and Calamity on YouTube first. We actually released the music videos first, kind of like just a build up, and then I think it was like a month later after the Calamity video came out that we actually released the EP. So
Yeah,
at least for us, it really depends on the band. Some bands like to go to the studio for a couple weeks and record everything. Some other bands like us, we work full time, so
yeah,
I usually just have maybe a couple hours at night so the kids go to bed and record stuff and do stuff.
yeah.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah, I think you guys mentioned Knocked Loose.
Yeah.
What they have done is definitely substantial. I mean, they're awesome. I would say my shoulder has not been the same since their concert. That was officially the show where I decided I am now too old to really mosh. Like I can like stand on the side and maybe jump in for fun for a minute, but like I've officially reached the point where I just don't recover as fast. That was like the defining moment. But it was
Yeah.
awesome. I had a grand time. But yeah, they're awesome, and I really like what they're doing and their style. You know, obviously they do, you know, more albums, but whatever they've done from a marketing perspective has clearly worked. Like I haven't followed it as well, I guess, to truly know what they did, but
Yeah.
it's worked.
It's interesting. I mean, they're one of the first, the modern hardcore bands that have really broke through and reached the mainstream metal. Because you have so many listeners and fans of them who don't listen to hardcore, who don't listen to punk at all, who love bands like Slipknot and uh, you know all those types of bands, and then they really like Knock Loose, which is technically a whole different genre of music, but they've really
Right.
I'm not really sure what they did to break through, but they're one of the first bands to do it. Them and Code Orange, I would say, are leading the charge of uh, mixing in hardcore and making metal fans of that genre.
The key
Right.
is barking like a dog into a microphone.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was what was missing on the what is it, different shade of blue. Is that the second album?
Yeah,
Is that what it's called?
There weren't as
Yeah,
many
there wasn't enough
uproars.
bark. Yeah, that part. That's what sold me. My friend said, "Hey, listen to this song. It's called Counting Worms. The dude barks like a dog." And I think that's what sold
Arf,
me.
arf. Yeah.
yeah, man.
But
Oh
yeah,
man.
they're fun. I guess that's the last point I would have made is that like they are one of the few, like you mentioned, them and Code Orange. You don't see a whole lot of smaller bands even really breaking, even like the metal line of like what would be famous. Like you mentioned Slipknot, they're still out doing stuff. When people talk about like there's like a big show comes like, oh, I can't wait to see XYZ bands. All of these are bands that were like made their like magnum opus album like 10, 15 years ago. So
That is a solid point. All of the big bands in the metal scene right now are bands that were big in
They're
2010.
aging out. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
So
it's
I'm interested to see what happens in the next 5, 10 years of the metal world.
yeah, it's true because there's definitely a difference between somebody like me who thinks that like architects, all our gods have abandoned us is amazing, right? And something like Slipknot, Iowa, where everybody is like, oh wow, that was a watershed moment in metal music, and we haven't really had that in a minute. And with the sole exception of like, I think from our perspective, we would think like. Laughing Tracks by Knocked Loose or something like that, where there's been a little bit of a genre shift. But I think we are looking forward to whenever the next like a Black album or whatever comes out.
right. Yeah, because I guess that's what I was thinking with like Post Malone and stuff too. Is you almost have to embrace another genre slightly, or have that shift, like you said, with Laugh Tracks and Knocked Loose, something to bring it unique. Because in some way, all metal is reusing the same formula to some extent. And I mean, you could argue it about all music, but how crazy can it get? Like this isn't metal, but 100 gex is an example of a more modern band that has fully gone like how much can we just push the line, and like pushing the line honestly doesn't even describe 100 gex. I think it's awesome what they're doing, but it's
However,
good.
you guys would like to bring this to a close, let's do it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I'll talk for all of us and say that Fallen Void, you guys are a solid band that everyone should go check out your music. Go look down in the description of this podcast, YouTube video. Check out their music. You're going to love it. And we had a great conversation. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
yeah, thank all of you for showing up.
Yeah, thanks for having
Yeah.
us. Absolutely,
Yeah.
definitely fun to talk about. So maybe we'll play a show in the Chattanooga or Nashville area sometime.
Yes, for
Yeah.
sure. And we'll be there.
Well, let us know. All
Yeah.
right.
Sounds good.
Thank you guys, and we wish you all the best.
Yes. See ya.
All right. Cheers.
Yeah.
Peace.
Cheers. Thank you.